Hello to all the viewers and learners of NIUS. I, Dr. Piyush Prasad, Academic Officer Accountancy, welcome you in our video program. Dear students, by this time you have already gone through the journal entries and you know how to post the entries into the ledger. Side by side you are also aware how to balance the ledger. Now suppose if you are going to prepare an asset account in which you have to show that how the assets are going to be purchased and they are going to be used in the business for various years, then you must be aware of the term depreciation. As you know that depreciation is basically reduction in the value of the fixed assets, which may be due to various reasons as wear and tear, use of the asset and so on. So today we are going to discuss mainly on the topic depreciation. What are the causes of depreciation? What are the objectives of charging the depreciation? What are the methods that we are going to use for charging the depreciation in our system with their merits, demerits with the illustrative view? For this very purpose, today we have invited in our studio Dr. Anand Sharma, who is an Associate Professor from Central University, Haryana. Sir, I welcome you in our studio.
Thank you, Dr. Piyush.
Thank you, sir. Learners, as we have already told that the depreciation is one of the main concepts to be taken care of at the time of preparing the final accounts. Now, until and unless you know that how much depreciation is going to be charged on an asset, you will never be able to calculate the appropriate profit and losses of the business, and you will not be able to know the exact value of the asset which is to be shown in the balance sheet. So, sir, my very first question will be that what is exactly the meaning of the term depreciation?
Depreciation is very important concept. Don't take depreciation as an important concept in accounting. It is, I take it as a philosophy of life. You know, everything in life has a limited life. It may be fixed assets, it may be even, you know, the life of human being. So what we need to do, we need to understand this life of the asset and we need to provide for the replacement of this asset after the expected useful life. So depreciation is basically continuous decline in the value of asset due to wear and tear. As you mentioned, it may be due to accident, it may be due to sometime merely passage of time and for different reasons. So basically depreciation is decline in the value of asset over a period of time.
Depreciation, as you have explained, this is declining in the value of the asset. But suppose if a candidate is going to ask an exact definition, then how are we going to define this term depreciation? Meaning is clear, there is a decline in the value of the asset due to number of reasons, as you have quoted, that it may be the useful life of the asset, maybe the asset has become old with the passage of time, number of things could be there. But when we have to go on a word by word and the exact definition, then how the term depreciation is going to be defined?
We can define depreciation as continuous decline in the asset due to its uses, due to passage of time, due to accident or due to any other reason. We can, you know, define depreciation another way. Depreciation is basically the allocation of the cost of asset over its useful life. Say for example, we purchase an asset machinery for rupees 1 lakh and the life is 5 years. So we have to divide this cost, that is 1 lakh, over a period of time, that is 5 years. So it is basically, if we do not divide it properly, then what will happen? The whole amount of depreciation, the whole cost of asset will be allocated in the last year. So depreciation is basically the systematic process of allocating the cost of asset over its useful life.
Sir, once a candidate has came to know the meaning as well as definition of depreciation, now the question arises that what are the reasons why are we going to charge a depreciation on a particular asset?
Dear learners, there may be different reasons for depreciation. One of the important reason is wear and tear. We see due to continuous use of asset, maybe it's laptop, car, we see it declines in the quantity and quality of the asset. So, wear and tear is one of the most important reason for depreciation. Due to passage of time, sometime even we are not using, but due to passage of time, value of asset declines. For example, there may be some contracts. So, with the passage of time, this amount of asset declines every year.
It may be quoted in form of an example of a medicine. Someone has bought a medicine, it is
Okay.
going to have an expiry date.
Yeah.
If they are not going to use it, then also the medicine is going
Yeah.
to expire.
That part of,
That.
yeah.
Similarly, the same kind of thing is applicable in case of the fixed assets. With the passage of time, if we are not going to use the asset, then also its value is going to decline. If we are going to use it, then definitely there are going to be some wear and tear, then also the value declines. What are the other reasons of charging depreciation?
Other reasons may be obsolescence.
Ji.
You see every day new technology is coming up. So, what happens, even if you are not using the asset, there is no wear and tear, but just due to new technology has come, the value of that old asset has declined. So, this reason is very important in this age when we are living in a technological advancement stage. Then there may be reasons, some industries, there may be some industrial hazards, there may be some accidents, and some assets, natural assets are exhausted when there is coal mine or something like natural resource. So, with these reasons, there may be decline in the value of asset.
Okay. Now, learners, as you have came to know the meaning of depreciation, the definition of depreciation with the reasons that why we are going to charge a depreciation. Now, the things comes that what is depreciation accounting? Until unless we are going to aware of this thing, we cannot proceed further. So, now our learners would like to know exactly, sir, what is depreciation accounting?
Yeah. Depreciation, by now you are clear, depreciation is declining the value of asset continuously. Now, in accounting, you have to take care that whole cost of asset is to be divided among the years in which the asset has been used equally, or it may be according to different other methods like machine hour rate method, where you can determine that it was used for particular number of hours in a particular year and less number of hours in the next year. So, depreciation accounting is the system, is the practice of charging, allocating cost of asset over its useful life.
So, what are the basic objectives of depreciation accounting? Meaning is clear that we are systematically allocating the useful life of the asset over number of years,
Yes.
but why do we do so? What are the objectives behind it?
Very important question. As I told you that this is the most important reason that why we charge depreciation. The first and most important reason is that replacement of worn out assets. If you purchase a car today worth rupees 5 lakh and your daddy gifts you, what happens? You presume that this car is gifted, and if you don't make a plan that after 5 years, after 7 years, after 10 years this car will be out of use, and by that time you need to save that money to buy another car. So, the most important reason is that if we charge depreciation, we are basically declining our profits. If we are declining our profits, it means we are making a fund to replace the worn out assets in future to buy a new asset.
This is basically used to happen in case of the industries.
Yes.
That machines are going to have some useful life.
Yes.
After a certain useful life, they are going to be replaced automatically. They are supposed to be,
Right.
though they may be in a working condition. So, they have to create a specific fund so that
Yeah.
at the time of purchase of a new machinery, they won't have to face the financial hazards.
Very
They may be able to get the funds easily and can buy a new machinery and can replace the old one. Do we have any other objective other than this one?
Yeah. Dear students, we don't charge depreciation. What will happen? We are, in profit and loss account, we mention different types of expenses, we mention different types of income, but what we are violating that we are mentioning some expenditures, but we are not mentioning depreciation, because until and unless we don't charge depreciation, the total cost is not calculated. So, depreciation helps in calculating the exact amount of profit. If you don't charge depreciation, in that case our profit will be overestimated. And very interestingly, in case of company, if profit is overestimated over calculated, then if you go for distribution of profits, so it will be very difficult for the management, because there are punitive actions in the law. So, calculating true and fair value of profit, and another reason, calculating true and fair value of assets to be mentioned in the balance sheet, otherwise your balance sheet will be faulty. So, these are the other reasons why we charge depreciation.
Okay. Any other reason other than these two? Once you have mentioned that this is going to be used for replacement of the asset. Secondly, by this we will be able to know the exact value of our asset, and we will be able to show the appropriate provisions in our P&L account, and the appropriate profits would be calculated. Do we have any other objective?
There are legal provisions,
sir,
because companies are bound by Companies Act. Section 209 provides that the profit should be calculated after taking due care of depreciation, all other provisions. So, this is also one of the reasons.
So, until unless they show an appropriate amount of depreciation in their books of account, it is not acceptable by law.
Yes.
Fine. Sir, once our learners have came to know all these things, now the question arises that what are the factors which determines the amount of depreciation? That is the main thing. But until unless we know that factors, how do we calculate the depreciation?
How to determine the amount of depreciation?
This is the question.
Depreciation is basically decline in the value of asset. So, first of all, you should know that what is the total cost of asset. Total cost of asset includes the price paid to the vendor plus all installation costs, any incidental expenses incurred to bring the asset in usable condition. So, all these costs are covered at one place. Then the useful life of the asset. When we know the total amount of asset is 1 lakh, now you have to consider scrap value. Scrap value is the amount which you can recover at the end of the useful life. Say 1 lakh is your total cost and you can recover 20,000 at the end of the useful life. So, basically your cost is 80,000. So, there are 3 major components. Number 1, the total cost paid to vendor plus all installation cost and incidental charges. Number 2, useful life of the asset, and number 3, scrap value of the asset. So, these are the 3 factors which we should consider in order to calculate the amount of depreciation.
So, until unless these 3 things are known to anyone, appropriate amount of depreciation cannot be calculated. First of all, one should know the exact total cost of the asset, including all kind of expenses that has been paid or supposed to be paid in future. Then they should know what are the useful life of the asset, that is for how many years the asset is going to work in an industry, and if there is going to be any scrap value, that is the value which can be realized after the useful life of the asset when is sold to a market, then we can calculate this thing. Sir, is this term depreciation is all alone, or there may be some other terms which are similar to the depreciation?
There are different terms which students may come across and they may feel confused. Like there is a term amortization, there is a term write-off, there is a term depletion, obsolescence, scrap value. These are the terms which are basically accounting treatment is almost same, but there is slight difference. Like depreciation is declining the value of fixed assets. Depletion, again this is also depreciation, but basically depletion we take in case of natural resources where over the period of time the assets are exhausted from natural resources such as mines, etc. Then obsolescence, again obsolescence is also one of the major reason of depreciation, but obsolescence is not basically due to wear and tear. Obsolescence is basically due to change in technology when the value of asset is decline, as we discussed in the previous example. So, again the treatment is same, I mean to say. And write-off is basically taking some part of asset to the profit and loss account. That is also basically process of accounting of depreciation. Amortization, in case of amortization, we basically takes intangible assets such as goodwill, etc. Goodwill is basically intangible assets. It appears in our balance sheet. Over a period of time, good accounting practices says that we should over the period of time we should remove from our balance sheet. So, what is the method? Method is amortization, that the one part, small part every year we take to the profit and loss account. This way it is exhausted from balance sheet.
In case of fixed asset, we use the word depreciation.
Yes.
In case of some natural resources, we are going to use the word depletion.
Yes.
In case if it is a technological change, then we use the word obsolescence and so on.
For practical purposes, students should take that the methodology, the philosophy is same in all these cases.
Only this names are synonymous and are going to have the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, what are the various methods of charging the depreciation in our books of accounts?
There are two methods important, that is fixed installment method, we call it straight line method also, written down value method, that is diminishing balance method also.
Sir, could you explain these methods in detail, exactly what is the meaning of these two methods?
Yes. In this method, basically the whole cost of asset is equally divided among its useful life. Say you purchase an asset for 1 lakh having useful life of 5 years. So, what we presume in this method, that the machine is evenly used throughout its life. So, we divide 1 lakh by 5 years, so we get 20,000. Every year we show 20,000 as amount of depreciation.
So, in this method the amount of depreciation remains same, irrespective of anything, whether the assets are going to be used or not, but we have to charge a fixed amount of depreciation. That is why we call it as a fixed installment or a straight line method. Sir, can you throw some light on the merits of the straight line method, as this is one of the very important method that you quoted. So, what are the merits of using this method in our accounting system?
Dear learners, this method is very important method, very useful method. First is, it is very easy to calculate the total life and the total cost the total cost is divided by the life of the asset. So, you can easily calculate, you can easily understand. If you know the depreciation of 1 year, you can understand the depreciation of others year as well, because it is equal. And as you know that in this method depreciation is equally divided among the useful life of the asset. So, what happens at the end of its useful life, the value of asset becomes 0. This way the asset account does not appear in the books. This is a very important method, because in other methods we see the value of asset remains, even it is negligible, it remains in books. So, it becomes so difficult to carry out it for 20 years, 30 years. So, this is very important point in this method.
Sir, as we have got the merits under this method, do we have some limitations also?
All methods in accounting have their own merits and demerits. As far as this method is concerned, sometimes it gives unrealistic results, because we divide the whole cost equally among all the years. It does not happen. Practically you see, suppose you purchase a bike, you use it in the initial year more, and later year, suppose for 6 months you do not use, but the amount of depreciation is charged equally. So, it does not give realistic view, but it is used because for simplicity's sake we use it. As far as other limitation is concerned, that in this method some amount remains even after the useful life of the asset. So, it creates secret reserves. So, these secret reserves can be sometimes misused by the management. So, this is major limitation of this method.
Like the assets are going to be there with us, they may be in a working condition due to good maintenance and repairs and renewals, but according to the records the value of the asset will be 0 in the books of account, and there won't be any such kind of assets. But in practically the asset is going to be there. So, this is not compatible with kind of a real situation, we can say.
Yes.
So, these are the limitations.
Even you will surprise, in some cases the management has used these secret reserves to make their own profit. So, this is the major limitation.
Limitations under this method. Now, sir, kindly explain the diminishing balance method of charging the depreciation with their merits as well as the limitations.
Diminishing balance method, or we call it written down value method, is an important method. In this method we charge depreciation at a fixed rate on the remaining amount of the asset. For example, we purchase an asset for rupees 1 lakh and we charge 20% depreciation. So, what happens, in the first year we charge 20,000, that is 20% of 1 lakh. In second year 1 lakh minus 20,000, that is 80,000. 80,000 is the opening balance of the asset in the second year, we charge 20% on this amount. So, it comes out 16,000. In third year again 1 lakh minus the previous 2 depreciation, that is 20,000 plus 16,000, that is 36,000. It comes out 20% of 64,000, that is 12,800. So, this way we see the amount of depreciation keep on declining. We charge depreciation on declining value of the asset. So, one way you can say that it is in proportion of the value of asset. So, this is the importance of this method.
The way the depreciation is going to be charged,
Yes.
the way the asset decreases, the same the depreciation decreases.
Yeah.
So,
as far as merits are concerned, in this method, sometimes it feels that this method is very reasonable, it is very rational, because in the last year, suppose value of asset is minimum. In that case, if you charge the fixed installment method, then it will be very irrelevant. So, this method provides relevant amount of depreciation. Secondly, it is acceptable under income tax laws. So, it is very important to follow the laws, and our law says that we should charge depreciation on the gross block of written down value.
sir, then what are the limitations under this method?
Again, in this method, as you have seen, the calculation of depreciation rate, all these are slightly difficult to calculate, difficult to understand, and in this method the most important limitation is that the value of asset does not become 0. Every year you will charge 20% depreciation, even if you take you calculate even after 100 years or 200 years, you will find that the amount of depreciation is something, it is not 0. Thus, it is very difficult to carry out assets at a very nominal amount.
Now, could you throw some light on the format of this fixed asset account?
Yeah, as far as format is concerned, this is very important to understand, students. Basically, there are 3 accounts: asset account, depreciation account, profit and loss account. When you purchase asset, in the asset account, we debit the asset by the amount you have purchased asset. Sometimes we spend some amount on its installation, that is also part of asset. So, this is very important point to understand, students. The amount you paid to the supplier, any carries inward, any incidental expenses, any installation cost, all become part of the asset. So, you debit asset account by all these costs. You may debit asset account again and again by to cash account with the amount of asset paid to vendor, then amount paid in repairs, amount paid in maintenance in the initial year when it becomes usable condition. When asset becomes in usable condition, then at the end of the year you charge depreciation in the credit side. So, debit side whatever amount you purchase, credit side the amount of depreciation, then at the end of the year you will find balance, then the account is closed, and the next year the closing balance of first year becomes opening balance in the second year, and again the amount of depreciation is charged, and this way it keeps on up to the useful life of the asset.
So, depreciation will exactly be calculated from the date of purchase till the date of the closing accounting date of the year.
Yes.
Suppose if we are following a calendar year from January to December, and we have purchased the machinery on 1st January, then you are going to charge a depreciation on 31st December for the whole year. But suppose if the machinery is going to be purchased on the 1st of July, then the depreciation will be charged only for a period of 6 months. If it has been purchased in the month of September, then we are going to charge the depreciation accordingly for 3 or 4 months. But be very careful whether the accounting year is going to be used or the calendar year is going to be used. Basically, the financial year is from 1st of April till 31st of March, while in case of the calendar year it is from January to December. So, we are going to keep a concept in our mind that when the assets are going to be purchased and what is the date of closing of our accounting. Sir, as we have mentioned, कि if asset is going to be purchased, it is mentioned on a debit side either to cash or to bank.
Yeah.
And whenever we are going to charge a depreciation, it will be shown on a credit side of an asset account by depreciation, and there will be a balance out of it.
Yeah.
Suppose if the assets are going to be sold, and if they are sold at a profit, where do we show that profit? If they are sold at a loss, where do we show that loss? And where we are going to show the sale value of the asset?
Whenever we sell any asset, we pass the journal entry, cash account debit or bank account debit to asset account. So, this entry will be passed in the credit side of the asset account by cash or by bank. With the amount you sell the asset. As far as profit and loss on sale of asset is concerned, you should calculate the value of asset in the books on the date when you are selling asset. You compare it with the selling price. If selling price is more, then there is profit. If selling price is less than the book value, then there is loss. So, as far as loss and profit is concerned, it is also mentioned in the asset account itself. If loss occurs, we write on the credit side of the asset account. If profit occurs, we write on the debit side of the asset account. We pass the entry by profit and loss account to profit and loss account.
So learners, today you have came to know a detailed topic of depreciation, its meaning, its definition, the objectives, what is depreciation accounting, what are the different terms that we are going to use in depreciation. Together with the methods, we have discussed in detail on a straight line method and a diminishing balance method with their meanings, with their merits and limitations. Side by side, we have also discussed on the format of preparing the machinery account, and when we are going to machinery, where we are going to write it, when the asset is going to be sold, where we are going to show it, if there is a profit or loss, how do we show it, and the depreciation is going to be shown. I hope these things are going to be helpful a lot in your further studies and in understanding the topic of the term depreciation. Sir, on behalf of NIUS, I thank you for being with us and providing such a useful information to our learners. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Piyush.
हिंदुस्तान के हर कोने में नौजवानों के पास प्रतिभा है, उन्हें अवसर चाहिए।
NIOS देता रहा है युवाओं को अवसर आगे बढ़ने का। NIOS से पढ़ने वाले इन युवाओं ने किया है संस्थान को गौरवान्वित। दिव्यांगों ने बन के दिखाया है सबल और आत्मनिर्भर। NIOS के साथ आप भी जुड़िए NIOS के संग।